I'm grateful to each and every one of you, not only for the opportunity to be able to speak with you, but just for being here, for taking the time to be here. So many people have just been thanked, and deservedly so. I want to ask you to just join me in thanking two other groups. One of the men and women who served us this morning out on this line. They may not be able to hear us, but let's see if we can make sure that they do. If we can give them. And that goes for all those who set up every single table, every single napkin, tablecloth, piece of silverware, and those that are going to clean it up. A lot of work that goes into making something like this possible. And to Mark, you and your team, truly grateful. 54 years. You probably didn't anticipate feeding this many people when it started 54 years ago. But how blessed we are to be able to gather here in this way. I want to thank one other person who's not yet been thanked. And that's a man who, with the possible exception of Mark Haney to my immediate right, probably personally knows more people in and has met more people in this room than anyone else. And that is my liaison to the ag community, Warren Beeler. Warren, thank you. Most of you in this room do know who Warren is and have met Warren. The man is a machine, and I'm grateful to have him. And he keeps me very much apprised of what's happening in the ag community in our state. A lot going on, there really are. I was asked even as I came in here of my thoughts of what's happening right now, given commodity prices and tariffs and things of this sort. Time doesn't allow for us to get into a deep and political conversation or an economic conversation. Other than to say, in speaking to folks in the agricultural community, you understand better than most that this is a cyclical industry. It really is. And there's times when it's up and there's times when it's down. There's times where it's in between. There's a lot of unknowns. There's so many things beyond your control. I'm grateful to the members up here on this table who represent the various facets of our agricultural community. A couple in particular, having been the president of my county dairy club when I was in 4-H, I'm a little partial to the dairy folks, and having plucked more chickens, I guarantee you, than any governor in America, probably in the last 50 years at least. I'm a little partial to the poultry people as well. This is a world I come from, and I'm grateful to each and every one of you. I want to thank you for a few other things as well, not only for being here, not only for taking the time to come, some of you hours, literally this morning, to be here in time to celebrate the fair, the agricultural community, the ability for farm and city to meld together here in this location. But I want to thank you for a few other things. I want to thank you for being people, with rare exception in this room, who have faith in God, faith in a higher purpose than yourselves. I want to thank you for your support as individuals. As we heard in the invocation, as we saw themes of in these videos that we just saw, for supporting the very Judeo-Christian principles that this nation was founded on, and the integrity and the values. I want to thank you for that. It's increasingly rare in America. I want to thank you additionally for being people who love your families. Every situation you could imagine of a family type is represented in a room of this size, fair enough. But I was saddened recently to see a statistic that in America, for the very first time ever, and it's sadly not likely to reverse anytime in the foreseeable future, there are now more children living in a home in the United States without their biological mother and father in that same home than children who do. Think about that. There are now more children growing up in a home without their biological mom and dad. It isn't to say that there's not any number of circumstances under which they may be given tremendous wings to fly. But the very best opportunity has been taken from so many children in our country. Thank you for being a room full of people who love your husbands, who love your wives, who love your children. Because this is more important than almost anything else I could say or we could do. You talk about generations. You talk about the first century and looking forward to the next century. It's going to be built literally on the shoulders and backs of those in this room. And it's going to be built by the hands and the feet of our children. What platform are we giving them? What opportunity are we giving them? I want to encourage you, please, to love on the next generation. pour into them and support them. So many children, because of the majority now not having what we've just mentioned, please, I ask you, as was noted, and we heard it in the first video about having a servant's heart. We heard it in the second video and the first about leading where you stand. I'm asking you, please, to lead where you stand with a young person in your life. Somewhere, someone, every one of you touches a young person who you may not feel you have personal responsibility for. But I'm asking you, please, extend a kind word, a hand, a coach's advice, a teacher's extra attention. The love that you can offer a young person will make all the difference. I want to thank you for your patriotism. I want to thank you for the way in which you honor the men and women who serve us, for those of you who do serve us, those of you that are here in uniform, the 1.5 million Americans who have died in uniform. I want to thank you for being a group of people who understand that. So many of you have family members who have served. So many of you yourselves have served. I want to thank you for appreciating the incredible significance behind the stripes, the stars, what seemingly is just a piece of cloth, but signifies so much more. When we talk about the land of the free and the home of the brave, the ag community, probably almost better than any other single community, understands what that entails. I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for your dedication to farming. It isn't easy. We alluded to it at the outset. You know it, preaching to the choir. I love the fact that when you do get up early in the morning, as so many of you do, as a part of your daily vocation, and you're out there in the fields, you understand what it's like. I noticed even in that video, and maybe some of you did as well, as the woman was picking the tomato, there's a way you pick the tomato off the vine without ripping the top of it. And just the way it was taken off, those kind of things that are instinctive and intuitive to some of you. I want to thank you for that, for feeding us. It isn't easy. And as you're generationally challenged, as more and more young people may choose to do something else, because it isn't easy to get up in the morning, every morning. Especially when there's animals involved where it's not an option, especially dairy animals, among others. I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for your willingness to be committed through the cyclical nature of things. I want to thank you finally for your willingness to be a part of, your being a part of, and you're being inspired by the Farm Bureau to continue to make Kentucky the greatest version of itself possible. You do it every day. It's what you were asked to do. I would encourage you, please, get a copy of the comments that Mark just made a moment ago and share them. I hope you were listening. They were powerful. They were an incredible exhortation to each and every one of us about stepping up and doing more even than we are already doing. You're already doing a lot. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. But you could do more. You could. Every single one of us at this table, every one of you out there can do a little bit more. A few more minutes, a few more words, a few more deeds. We can make Kentucky the greatest version of itself possible. I want to close with just a couple of comments. The economy is strong. It is. Yes, it's up in some areas, down in others, sideways in others. But overall, it's doing very well, not only in this nation, but in this state. Unemployment's at an all-time low. This becomes a challenge for many of you in the ag community. You know this. It's a mixed blessing in some respects. We have more people working than we ever have before. We have record levels of investment being made in the Commonwealth. Simple things like cutting red tape, these scissors cutting through red tape. These things make a profound difference in your world and in the worlds of everyone else who create the wealth that allows the Commonwealth of Kentucky to rise and to succeed. We're blessed in this state to have a legislature who has been leading in ways that we've not seen in a long time. And the net result is good, but it takes time. Again, preaching a bit to the choir, you talk about the germination process. You all know this. You don't put a seed in the ground, go back the next day and harvest something. It takes time. You need to irrigate. You need to fertilize. You need to hoe, weed, thin, and wait. And this is what we're doing politically. And I'm grateful to the men and women who you send to Frankfort, from both parties, frankly, while we don't agree on everything, for those who come with a servant's heart, for those who come and represent you and fight for what's best for you, not for a party, not for themselves, not for some political opportunistic moment, but for the Commonwealth itself, That's really what you elect us to do. And indeed, we're blessed right now because things are going well and seeds are germinating. Much fruit will continue to be born in the days, weeks, months, and years ahead. I want to thank you as well for persevering when things aren't going well. I'm grateful to each and every one of you. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be the governor, to be able to be the point person when we sit down with companies and tell them about this incredible gem that we have here in the Commonwealth. And we are blessed indeed. This is an incredible gem. Just yesterday, I filmed a video that will come out. It will be dependent on a final board vote, so the specifics don't matter, but another $650 million investment. One that we've been working for some time to try to attract here, one that will create additional jobs for people. Just in the last week, we've had some incredible announcements in parts of our state that have been on the periphery for some time economically. Down in Ballard County, 500 people being brought back from a facility that was idled. How blessed we are to have a state that when people see it, they're attracted to it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to lead. Thank you for being people who lead yourselves. And please do receive this challenge to lead where you stand. We have much work yet to be done, so much more that we can do. But how blessed we are to be Americans, even more so to be Kentuckians. Thank you, and God bless you.